My name is Victoria Connors, and I'm going to be doing my presentation on the persuasion and argumentation essay, in which I discuss the media and its effects on today's youth. Should media take responsibility for who it targets? The issues of teens engaging in violence and developing eating disorders than have a source. Today's youth is faced with far more issues than ever before, and the media plays a large role. These issues can cause concerns for the personal well-being of the child and possibly others. The media feeds on public reaction and depends on the people for revenue. Our children are the media's biggest resource, and they use them as an outlet. Should they be to blame for problems affecting our children of today? The media needs to claim responsibility for its effects on today's youth by addressing the problem firsthand. The media affects children in many ways and is changing what is expected and acceptable in our society. The usage of media has grown tremendously in recent years. A study done in 1999 said that American children spend about 40 hours per week viewing media, says Keesby. The U.S. Census reported that between 1998 and 2001, the proportion of U.S. adolescents ages 14 to 17 years using the internet increased from 51% to 75%, reports Hogan. These numbers are no shock to researchers. Our society relies heavily on the media's resources. With our technology expanding, it is no wonder why people are so greatly influenced. It is believed that the reliance on media can affect children and teens in negative ways. The main effects are those of violence and self-esteem, says Pearson and Wagner. There are many other effects on children as well, but these are the most commonly disputed. When children and teens are constantly surrounded by the media, it can cause them to be greatly influenced. One aspect of media influence that creates great controversy is violence. Violence is seen everywhere in the media, whether it's video games, television shows, or the nightly news. There have been bans on many obscenities in the media, but not violence. People tend not to view violence as an issue, when it comes to TV programming especially. It is stated that virtually all children are eventually exposed to a tremendous number of hours of this media, says Pearson and Wagner. So why does this become an issue? When children are viewing acts of violence at young ages, they begin to think it's okay and is acceptable. It is said that American television, film, and video games clearly threaten to desensitize viewers, particularly children, to real-life cruelty, crime, and violence, says Pearson and Wagner. It tends to almost become acceptable with the amount you see of it daily. The depiction of violence on the television creates a sense of acceptance of violence in our society. According to Pearson and Wagner, a study published in the Journal of American Medicine estimated that by the time the average U.S. child graduates from elementary school, he or she has seen 100,000 televised acts of violence, including 8,000 murders. By high school graduation, the number of television-viewed acts of violence doubles to 200,000, and the number of television-viewed murders is multiplied by 5 times to 40,000. There has always been violence in our country, but there's more and more proof it stems from what children are watching and playing. The horrific incident that occurred at Columbine High School in 1999 had many wondering the effects of video games. With the imitation of video game killings, 2 boys shot and killed fellow classmates, a teacher, and then finally themselves. This is an extreme case, but the effects are apparent. The article by Pearson and Wagner quoted, "The suit stated, absent the combination of extremely violent video games and these boys' incredibly deep involvement, use of an addiction to these games, and the boys' basic personalities, these murders and this massacre would not have occurred." Children don't realize that news is real, and television shows or video games aren't. The lines become blurred when it comes to what children think is real. Violence among today's youth is becoming a problem, and media is a prime factor because they're exposed to so much so young. Many people would argue that violence has nothing to do with the media. Many people believe that the individual acts only because of how they were raised. If you were raised in an environment where it was okay to be abusive and you played violent video games, then you're going to engage in violent acts. Not all children who watch violence will reenact it, but many who are raised in a violent environment will do so, and this is a problem. If you are raised to know right from wrong and you play a violent video game, you are less likely to act out in such a manner because you know it is wrong. This is not true of all children, but the issue is still present. There is always a constant argument over what games children should play and what they shouldn't. There are labels in every game listing the age level suitable to play the game, but some people take less consideration to it. Violence in the media is an ongoing debate on whether it should be censored, says Pearson and Wagner. Another one of the effects media has on youth is the issue of body image. Media makes teens think they need to look a certain way or they won't be accepted. Media influences many teens in negative ways and create negative body images. You see it everywhere, from magazines with gorgeous bodies on the covers, TV shows with model-like casts, and music videos showing off ideal bodies. These are unrealistic images we see every day, and the pressures to look a certain way come from the media. The media shows you how things look after serious airbrushing and computer editing. Many of the media images and lyrics teens encounter convey messages about sexual attraction and physical beauty. Nearly 2 out of 3 teens watch music videos daily, according to a February 2000 Gallup survey, and thus constantly bombarded by images of ideal bodies, says an article by Gallup and Owens. The sexual attraction that the survey talks about can lead to a whole different issue facing teens. Today's teens are being influenced by the media and are becoming more grown up than ever before. The youth of today faces these pressures, but people don't realize the extent that the media influence their decisions. It is said that a large percentage of teens are influenced by the media when it comes to their bodies. Certain aspects of the media influence dissatisfaction more than others. A survey conducted by Gallup and Owens says the majority, 55% of girls and 35% of boys, are dissatisfied with their bodies. And Gallup reported in May 2000 that most teens say they are influenced by the media. Popular music was listed as an important influence by 72% of teens, while TV was an important influence for 49%. The healthiest young man or women you know may be concerned over body image. The difference between a healthy body image and a poor body image is how the person sees himself. If you have a healthy body image, you view yourself as you are physically and you are happy. But a poor body image is the exact opposite. Someone with a poor body image feels disgusted with themselves, even if they're healthy. These issues over body image can lead to eating disorders, says Kowalski. Some of the most dangerous are anorexia and bulimia. The fear of becoming overweight can fuel these disorders. Research shows that teens fear a lot more than just gaining excess pounds, says Gallup and Owens. The use of advertising also negatively influences American youth. There is a great concern with obesity in this country, but the most use of advertising on healthy foods is astounding. The use of advertising forces foods in your face at a constant rate. On average, 11 of 19 commercials per hour were for food, says an article on the negative influence of advertising to youth by Hogan. As more and more teens develop concerns over obesity, there are more concerns from commercials from McDonald's and other fast food restaurants. The influence these commercials have on children is becoming a great concern. Many eating disorders stem from having a poor body image. Many can argue the effect the media has on teens with eating disorders, though. Many say that if it wasn't for people's insecurities and issues with their bodies, they wouldn't be influenced by the media. Today's youth is faced with fears of obesity and the general objective to stay thin. So the concern is either to stay thin or become obese. The media causes much concern over obesity, and when teens have a poor body image, issues start to develop. With the help of constant food advertising and the struggles to stay thin, it starts to become an issue, though. Today's society needs to settle on which is better and which is worse. It's said by Gallup and Owens that although the majority of teenagers are painfully self-conscious, most do not fall victim to eating disorders, at least not within the strict medical definitions of the conditions. So, when debating the issue of if the media has effect on teens and eating disorders, you can argue that the media has an impact. You can say that the media has an impact on the thoughts children process, but do not necessarily affect every child the same way. The media affects how they see themselves, but many do not fall under the medical category of having an eating disorder. Not only girls are influenced, as many may think, but boys as well. Boys are concerned with building lean, strong bodies. They have constant pressures from coaches and the media. Boys are required to stay fit and diet properly to maintain a healthy body for sports teams. Boys admit they try to diet and exercise to look like a certain television character. An article by Gallup and Owens stated 16% of girls and 12% of boys told researchers Jane Brown and Elizabeth Witherspoon they dieted or exercised to look like a television character. This issue creates a great concern on how much the media influences teens. You can witness this effect by just looking at a magazine on a newsstand. The magazines talk about celebrities putting on 10 pounds, and people compare themselves. Teens want to look like celebrities and will diet to look identical. If that doesn't say something about our society, I don't know what does. To say that the media has no effect on today's youth would be untrue. The world today is faced with so much technology that it would be impossible to avoid the media. The media is everywhere around us, and the youth of today are becoming more in touch with it. The belief that the media has great negative influence on children is becoming known. The factors that influence children are very important. Violence should be censored to protect the youth from acts of violence, and the constant image of the perfect body they are shown should be limited. There is no reason for the media to push anything in your face, especially when children are so young. Children are impressionable. With increase in violence in adolescent years and the pressures to stay thin, the media is overwhelming our youth. So I believe the media should take responsibility for having such an influence on today's youth. The challenges teens are facing are becoming greater, and the pressures are immense. The media can use other outlets to influence our society, not take away the innocence of our children.